Kutter Crawford is one of the best starting pitchers in the American League right now, and it's certainly not being talked about nearly enough.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Hurlbut, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part is, it's free. So might as well take advantage of it and start your day off every day the right way with Locked On Red Sox. Locked On is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side. I can't help it. And it's a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. Welcome to Locked On Red Sox, where the team is coming off an incredibly frustrating 6-0 loss against the Cleveland Guardians. I don't know what it is about this team at Fenway, but even dating back to last season, they struggled to win games at home, and hopefully they can bounce back from it on their next homestand. Lots of maybe adjusting to being back in Boston during this homestand and not really getting a lot of opportunity for a turnaround after coming back from the West Coast trip and then coming back to play at home. So I will give them some leeway there, and maybe because the game was at 11 o'clock in the morning and half the team looks like they were literally asleep for the game, and that was really annoying because the Guardians also were not being very productive either until they woke up in the later few innings of the game, and the Red Sox defense also did them some favors by allowing them to score more runs. So definitely a very frustrating day overall, but one thing that was absolutely not frustrating was Kutter Crawford's start. It's time to start talking about his dominance this season. He went 5.2 innings, giving up just 2 hits and no earned runs. He also recorded 6 strikeouts. Those are very highly competitive numbers, and the cool thing is, he made history for the Boston Red Sox. He currently sports an ERA of 0.57 on the season. 0.57 over 3 games started and 15.2 innings pitched. He's also struck out 18 batters total. He made history in Monday's game. He is the only pitcher in Red Sox history, excluding openers, to allow 1 or fewer runs and 3 or fewer hits in each of their first 4 starts of the season. This streak of gems actually does go back to his final outing of last year, too, when he logged 6 shutout innings while allowing just 1 hit with no walks and 7 strikeouts in the team's second to last game of the season. His performance on Monday against Cleveland just continued what has been a phenomenal season so far for him and the rest of the starting rotation. With his 5.2 scoreless innings, Red Sox starters have lowered their ERA to a Major League best 1.92. The starting pitching has certainly not been the issue so far with this Red Sox team, and I don't think that's a conversation people thought we were going to have at this point. Right now, at this point in the season, I think a lot of people thought that maybe the starting pitching was going to be a struggle. People were going to be sitting here frustrated because the starters are giving up a ton of runs, but they're really not. And the Guardians have been playing good baseball lately. And Kutter Crawford was able to hold them. And they could not figure him out at all. And I wondered if Cora was going to allow him to finish the 6th inning, but didn't want to push it, still early in the season. But it's time to have a conversation about him being one of the best pitchers in the American League. And you want to know what's even crazier about it? It's sad because his effort against the Guardians was his 5th consecutive no decision. He has 0 wins on the season so far, and that is primarily due to the fact that the people around him are not helping him out. He had an absolute gem of a start on Monday and got 0 run support from his offense. And it's something that needs to be thought about is people are going to look at his record and say, well, he hasn't been able to get the wins. But this is where it goes back to my point that I've brought up in the past on this show about how record is not everything for a pitcher, and certainly not even close to telling the full story. You need to look at the bigger picture when it comes to a starting pitcher. What are they doing in each individual start to help their team? Are they putting their team in a position to succeed on a daily basis? Crawford has been doing that since the start of the season, and it's really unfortunate because he is not causing these Red Sox downfalls, but they are having these downfalls and losing games. And it's not fair to him because he deserves to get the win when he pitches that well. And I was sitting there watching Monday's game and I was like, if the Red Sox waste a beautiful Kutter Crawford start on a beautiful day weather-wise, I mean, could not have been better weather for baseball and for the Boston Marathon. It would be super frustrating if the Red Sox ruin all that. And sure enough, they did. And I do get it. The start time of the game is a little funky compared to other games. Less time for a pregame routine, less time for players to get themselves situated. And a lot of times guys might feel like their typical warm-up is cut short. So that definitely impacts the way that they play, but that goes for both teams. And it's not like the Guardians looked fantastic until the last couple innings either. So the start time of the game is definitely a factor, but the Red Sox have to figure out how to start supporting Kutter Crawford and getting him the run support so that he can get the wins. This literally reminds me of a Jacob deGrom situation when he would pitch absolutely phenomenal for the Mets, and then nobody on that team would give him run support, so he'd have to take a loss because his team would lose like 1-0 or something crazy like that because he wasn't getting any run support. And it's not fair to Kutter Crawford for the Red Sox to continuously lose games in which he's starting and he gets a no decision because the team falls apart. He's been pitching very well this season, and if this continues, there's no doubt in the world that he'll be in the Cy Young conversation. And that's super cool because I had said during the offseason on this show, I need to see more from Kutter Crawford before I really can know what type of pitcher he is. And that was true. There's lots of factors that go into evaluating a pitcher, and I needed to see more from Kutter, and now I'm starting to see more from him. He's utilizing a lot of different pitches. He had a sweeper on Monday that was really beneficial for him and was fooling a lot of hitters. He's honing in on his slider, and he just looks better than he's ever looked, and he looks confident out there. And I like to say that's the Andrew Bailey effect because he seems to really have started to work wonders with these starting pitchers, and they seem to really be able to connect with him, and he's helping them each find their individual stride, and he's honing in on their individual strengths and allowing them to utilize those strengths in their starts. And Kutter, I feel like, has gotten miles better with mixing up his pitches and being able to utilize different ones each time he steps foot on the mound. And that's something that's really going to serve him well moving forward when the Red Sox are trying to win games in high-pressure situations and he has the start. I mean, by every means necessary, he should have gotten the win on Monday. He did everything you could have possibly asked for him to do, and when he walked off that field, I said, wow. What a legendary start from him. This guy is making Red Sox history right now, and his team can't even get a single hit. It was definitely upsetting and frustrating to watch, for sure, and credit to the Guardians for having that mentality of staying with it and coming back and winning the game in those last few innings. So props to them for that, but definitely no props given at all to everybody else on this Red Sox team besides Kutter Crawford, who really showed up with that fight in him and had a start of a lifetime. And I'm really excited to see moving forward if he continues to be as effective as he is. I mean, he's so dominant and so good right now, and who knows, if he continues on this path, he could eventually be the Red Sox true number one ace. And it's too soon to say right now that for sure he will be an ace for the rest of his career. But this is a great sign and a great indication that if he keeps this up, this is exactly the weapon that the Red Sox need. So I'm very excited to be able to see him pitch because he's definitely come a long way, and opposing hitters are having a very hard time figuring him out. So hopefully he can continue with that mentality, and hopefully in his next start, he gets more run support from his offense. And coming up, I'm going to be talking about that putrid Red Sox offense. Why exactly have they been so quiet lately? That's important, so you won't want to miss it. We've all been there, either as a player or a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard is not looking good. You're feeling low, not sure you or your team can pull out a win. That's when you dig deep, lift your head up, and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much of my friends' money as I possibly can. That's right. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches in the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone anytime with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. There's so much to do. Play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards. Make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. Charge other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests and in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. It's a great time, and if you have other friends who are competitive like you, then they'll enjoy it too, and you definitely will not want to miss out. The other thing you won't want to miss out on is great deals from Gametime. Gametime is basically a ticket servicing app that will give you the lowest prices on tickets and good seats. The cool thing about it is you see the view from your seat before you purchase the tickets, so you can be reassured that you're in a good spot and you won't be hindered by anything with your view. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. They really will guarantee you the lowest prices. I have had nothing but good experiences with them, so I highly recommend you check it out today. It's Locked On's NFL Mock Draft live on April 17th at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, streaming on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channel's app. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on April 17th at 7 o'clock ET to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft on April 17th at 7 ET, streaming live on Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channel's app. You definitely won't want to miss that. Lots of exciting things with this year's draft class, so check that out. The Boston Red Sox offense was completely putrid in a 6-0 loss versus the Cleveland Guardians on Monday. Literally, as an offense, they recorded 3 total hits in the game. 3 singles. That was it. One from Jarren Duran, one from Rafael Devers, and one from Tyler O'Neill. The rest of the Red Sox offense was just completely absent the entire game. Casas 0 for 4, Yoshida 0 for 4, Abreu 0 for 2, Valdez 0 for 3, McGuire 0 for 3, Rafaela 0 for 3. David Hamilton came in to pinch hit at one point and went 0 for 1. Very bad, lots of zeros across the board for the offense. And it's tough because this Red Sox offense is so up and down. I mean, you take a look at Sunday's game when they were taking walks, they were hitting, they were getting runs on the board. There was a lot of energy and they played really well and they looked like a good, competent offense. And then you go to Monday's game and they're completely asleep and they get shut out again. This isn't the first time they've been shut out at home this year. And they need to try to find a way to start winning some of these games at home because this offense has potential and I can see that potential. They just need to keep hitting. And there are certain players in this lineup who are really struggling to find their way, like Masataka Yoshida, who did hit his first home run of the season on Sunday, but then came back out on Monday and went 0 for 4 when I was really hoping that he was starting to find his swing and figure out what he needs to do differently at the plate. But something needs to change about the approach. And I had a conversation on the podcast last year about Peter Fatse, the Red Sox hitting coach. And I said, I'm watching this guy because the Red Sox offense needs to elevate. And if he doesn't have the ability to elevate the Red Sox offense in the way that they should be elevated, then how are we supposed to feel confident that they can compete against the best pitchers in baseball? I went into the season saying the Red Sox offense to me isn't the biggest area of concern. It is the starting pitching because of all the question marks. And so far, it's been the opposite. The starting pitching overall has been very good, and the offense has just had too many off and on scenarios. And there's a lack of consistency right now. They, as a team overall, need to find more consistency on offense. But I do give credit to guys like Tyler O'Neill, who leads the league in home runs right now. Jarren Duran is finding ways to get on base each game. Devers was hurt for a few games, but now he's back. Hopefully he can contribute again the way that Rafael Devers does, and we know he can. Tristan Casas is starting to heat up a little bit. So there definitely are a few guys in this lineup that have the ability and have shown a little bit more consistency than others. But then you look at guys like Emmanuel Valdez, Wilyer Abreu, Cedar Rafaela, lots of inconsistencies with those guys. And yes, they are young. They're still trying to figure things out, but they need to get going at the plate desperately and start to find some more consistency there. Reese McGuire is another player who's off to a very good start this season, as well as Connor Wong. The catching tandem has actually impressed offensively at the plate so far this year. Both of them have had a pretty good start to the season on offense. Connor Wong had a very good spring training, so I was anxious to see him come in and be able to apply that same thing, whatever he was doing in spring training, to the regular season, because obviously he changed something about his plate approach. So he's had a very good start to the season. And Reese McGuire too. I mean, he definitely offensively figured something out and things have clicked for him, because he's been one of the Red Sox best hitters so far. And I definitely didn't expect that going into the season either. If the Red Sox have this in their catching tandem moving forward, then that means they're in very good shape when it comes to the future of the catching core. Now, obviously, there's a guy named Kyle Teal who's hanging in the rafters and eventually will probably be called up. Not this year, most likely, but maybe sometime next year. So then what's going to happen with the catching situation? Which one of those catchers do they put more trust in? Do they feel like should be kept around for the Red Sox future when they start to be competitive again? And this season's going to tell a lot about that. So lots to look forward to with both catchers. They both are off to a good start, and they're making the Red Sox catching decision a little bit harder than I think people anticipated. But the offense as a whole was just so tough to watch on Monday. Just a lot of things not clicking, and playing baseball at that time of day, they could have been sleeping, sure, but I mean, you have to show up every day for baseball games. You have to put in 100% effort. And the Red Sox offense is better than that. Just weak hits, not really doing a whole lot to show that they had the energy, just going through the motions, taking their at bats, but almost trying to just get through it, and just didn't have a good eye for the ball at all. So, three little minuscule hits for the Red Sox, fielding error that didn't help the situation, and got a few runs on the board for Cleveland. So, the Red Sox are not doing themselves any favors here. We can look at the starting pitching all we want and say the starting pitching has been fantastic. But at the end of the day, if you have an offense that doesn't compensate for that and keep up with where the starting pitching is at, then it's not going to matter, because they won't give up runs, but you won't score any either. So I genuinely feel bad for the pitchers who are just really working themselves and keeping the Red Sox competitive in games. And Kutter Crawford was doing everything he could to keep the Red Sox in the game on Monday, and they just did not show up as a group. And it's tough because they are so much better than that offensively, but they just need to figure out a way to gain some consistency. And can Fatse help them gain that consistency? I'm going to be watching for that moving forward now. As an offensive unit, why are we on again, off again every day or every other day? It needs to be a lot more consistent, hitting with a lot more confidence, and helping these young guys to actually develop and find their way, figure out what works for them at the plate and what doesn't. So I'm definitely looking out for that in the rest of this series against the Guardians. The Red Sox have 3 more games in this series as a chance to try to finish off the homestand strong and hopefully take these next 3 games, if not at least pull off a split and take 2 of the 3 moving forward. But just got to brush off this Monday game, move on to the next game, and just hope that this team can clean things up because offensively, that was just not very good. And I hope that they are able to come to the conclusion as to why they've been inconsistent and figure out a way to fix it. Coming up, Tyler O'Neill did have to exit the game after a collide with Rafael Devers, so I'm going to be giving an update on him coming up next. Are you struggling to close deals? B2B selling is tougher than ever, and that's why I want to tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals, such as job changes or which accounts you should prioritize, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That is linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started. I used to work in sales, and if I knew about LinkedIn Sales Navigator at the time, I would have definitely used it. It'll certainly help you. The other thing that will help you is if you subscribe to Locked On Sports Today, as we as a network have launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is very exciting for the network because nobody else has a 24/7 sports streaming channel. So if you're looking to stay caught up in all things going on in sports, head to Locked On Sports Today. So during Monday's game, there was a fly ball hit to the weak part of the outfield, and Rafael Devers ran out to catch it. He called for the ball. Cedar Rafaela originally was going for it too, but then waited behind because he heard Devers call for it. But Tyler O'Neill was also trying to make a play on it and likely didn't hear Devers call for the ball. So the two of them collided and both fell to the ground immediately. The out was made, and somehow, I don't know, but they made that catch. But at a place with 30,000 fans in the stands, these players can't always hear each other when they're out on the field calling for balls. So that's why they do the crazy waving their arms and try to yell as loudly as they can, because it's really hard to hear. And so the chances are that Tyler O'Neill didn't realize that Devers was calling for it, so he tried to make a play on it too. The two of them collided. Devers ended up coming back into the game. O'Neill had to exit the game because he was bleeding. He immediately started bleeding on his face when the collision happened. So Alex Cora came out to check on him, and the Red Sox were all waiting, and the people in the stands were quiet and were concerned for O'Neill. So he came out of the game and did not return. And then Alex Cora gave an update on him after the game. He had to get 8 stitches afterwards. And Alex Cora basically said it's very much a day-to-day wait and see now. He's likely going to have to miss some time, at least until the stitches heal. But Alex Cora mentioned that he's on concussion protocol also, so he's going through the process of them checking to see if he has a concussion. Same thing with Devers, just as a precaution, even though he came back into the game, they have to just make sure, because it was a pretty bad collision, that he doesn't have a concussion as well. So this is just not the most positive news for the Red Sox right now. Tyler O'Neill, especially with the start to the season that he's having and providing that firepower offensively that the Red Sox need, they cannot afford to lose him for an extended period of time. They're already down Trevor Story for the season. They're already down Nick Pivetta temporarily as he's on the IL. Missing another core player like that is tough, and the Red Sox have outfielders. Yes, it would mean more playing time for Wilyer Abreu. He would probably be in the starting lineup near every day. But a hitter who's been that spark offensively, especially after watching Monday's game when the Red Sox did nothing offensively, taking away one of your best hitters early on in the season is a tough go. So I'm really hoping for the best for O'Neill. It's still unclear if Devers' status is in jeopardy. It would be really unfortunate for him because he literally just came back from missing some games with shoulder soreness. So if he misses games again because he has a concussion, that would just be so unfortunate for him. So it's still unclear what things are going to look like moving forward for Devers. But if he has a concussion, he'll land on the 7-day concussion injury list. And same with O'Neill. If he does, that puts them out for at least a week or more until the symptoms go away. With the Red Sox, they just have to hope for the best. They have to hope O'Neill doesn't have a concussion. And if he doesn't, that would be good news for the Red Sox. That would be a good case scenario because then he would probably be out for less time, just waiting for the stitches to heal and him to feel like he's ready to play again. So that's what we have to hope for. But he was batting very well. He had a 304 batting average, 448 on base percentage, and 761 slugging. Obviously a small sample size here, not jumping to conclusions that, he's one of the best hitters in the league, but I definitely think that the possibility of him being one of the best Red Sox hitters for the rest of the season is absolutely possible. I think he has a great bat for Fenway. I think he does everything the right way in terms of the way he approaches the game. And I really appreciate and respect his work ethic and his ability to just go out there and mash. So this would be a huge loss for Boston. I'm hoping that it's not as bad as it seems like it is. He definitely was not moving for a while, and instantly the bleeding started. So I could tell he was in serious pain when he walked off the field and went towards the locker room. There's just going to be some waiting around, and he's definitely going to miss some time for sure, but hopefully it's limited, and hopefully he's able to come back sooner rather than later and contribute in this Red Sox offense. And in the meantime, that creates even more pressure on guys like Wilyer Abreu and Cedar Rafaela. These guys have to step up in the outfield with O'Neill being gone, and it's a perfect opportunity for them to try to showcase what they can do and show that they are for real and that they deserve a spot on this roster. Abreu has had a slow start to the season, kind of started to find his swing over the weekend as he did have some good plate appearances in the weekend series against the Angels, so hopefully that continues for him. Rafaela overall has certainly showcased his talent in a lot of different areas, but these two guys in particular are on the hot seat now. This is the time for them to step up when it really matters and when we need them to step up, because Tyler O'Neill's loss, it's going to be hard to replace his bat. And if one of those two can insert athleticism, show that they can be more versatile hitters and start to deliver more, then the outlook on this team right now could be a lot better. It just seems like the Red Sox have been cursed with the injuries so far this year. Just lots of really annoying injuries. And it's sad because a lot of it has been caused by these guys really giving it their all. They're making some very nice plays out there. Trevor Story, he went down making a diving play trying to stop a baseball. And this collision here between Devers and O'Neill, both were hustling at 100% to try to make the play, and they happened to run into each other. And it's just unfortunate and really bad luck that these guys are getting hurt when they're putting themselves fully out there because they hate losing. Nobody wants to lose, and these guys are really doing everything they can to try to win baseball games. And the defense is still very much a problem and needs to be figured out. It's been a problem since Trevor Story went down. So hopefully they can figure that out soon. But the heart that these guys are showing and playing with is evident. They don't like to lose. We can see their facial expressions after games that they lose, and they're all very disappointed. I think they very much are hungry to prove people wrong this year. And they want to win games, and they want to be seen as a competitive baseball team. And I do think that can happen. They just need their guys back. And Tyler O'Neill is one of those guys who came in making a splash. And it's similar kind of to last year with Adam Duvall. He came in and absolutely dominated in those first few games of the season offensively, was hitting very well, and then he went on the IL and missed an extended portion of the season and then came back and he hit well again. So it was unfortunate because of how soon into the season it was when he went down. I'm hoping that O'Neill doesn't end up missing as much time as Duvall did last year during that time. But a similar situation in terms of how soon into the season it is that we may be experiencing something serious here with Tyler O'Neill. But luckily, they know how to treat the concussions and they know how to handle it, and that wouldn't put him out for too long. So even if he does have a concussion, we can expect to see him back in about a week or so. Let's just hope the Red Sox can clean things up defensively. They can get the bats moving again, because they really are relying a lot on the pitching staff right now. And that's great that the pitchers are able to come through and do what they need to do, especially the starters, with going at least 5 innings in most starts so far, and keeping the score low for the other team so that the Red Sox can get back in it. I mean, Kutter Crawford gave up a triple in the game on Monday and pitched around it and still gave up no runs in that inning. So I like that the starters are able to pitch around base traffic. It's something that I definitely noticed as an improvement from last year, and they're able to get out of jams and change their approach when they do have runners on base. So hopefully they continue to do that. Hopefully they can grab a win tonight from Cleveland. That would be ideal. But no matter what happens, just always forget to keep the faith. Go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.